Yep, it's me again. They hate me, that's why they give a fuck about me at the same time. As always, JD Miles, the Mgtows, they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate Mgtow at the same time. I'm back again. Surprisingly enough, I got an email. And this is coming from a non-Mgtow. Yeah, surprising, isn't it? In which what he has to say is very interesting. Hence, y'all see the title of the video. Why are the naysayers scared to ask Mgtow their complaints and their questions? Why are they scared to ask Mgtow any of their questions, but rather rely on other sources giving out their version of Mgtow? In which, of course, I ain't gonna lie, that is a good question. But in the email, it reads, and by the way, I'm not gonna give out the name because I know for a fact how these Mgtow haters are, and they're not gonna be sitting here harassing us who get sent emails, letters, whatever. But here's what he has to say. Now I've been following what goes on with the Mgtow philosophy for quite some time. Even though I constantly hear people say that it's a movement, however, ain't nothing that Mgtows are doing that puts them in the movement category. Now I heard all the claims, all the arguments, and whatever from all these sides opposing Mgtow. Some of which is quite intriguing, while others are just straight stupid as fuck. From Mgtow, for them claiming Mgtows are just men who have a hard time getting into relationships, to others claiming that Mgtow is this terrorist cult organization, whatever. I heard it all. However, I'm never the type that just take things off face value, as well as I'm not going to hear from one side without hearing from the other. So I rather hear it from an actual Mgtow themselves. What is the Mgtow philosophy is about compared to what they have to say. I'm more than happy to get feedback from any Mgtow on this matter. I would like to hear what they have to say. Yes, I said it. I've been hearing the naysayers for too long. Now it's time to hear from the Mgtows themselves, at which everybody should be sitting here asking this question. In which I do agree. And by the way, I may not be a 5-star general, but I give you a Medal of Honor for your bravery. And rather, if I could say so myself, I actually respect the fact that he's trying to hear it from both sides, not just the ones sitting there whining and crying about Mgtow, but actual Mgtows in the philosophy. I give him mad respect for that. In which, for some, yes, some of them are stupid as fuck. Even when even when we go right back around and tell them what Mgtow is actually about, notice if you ever notice that these are the same ones being combative over the fact that an actual Mgtow came in and proved their claims and arguments wrong. So much so that they're so stuck in their warped, deluded fantasy that despite what Mgtows say, they still want to hang on to their dumb, dead arguments. These are the ones you should avoid because it's obvious that this even if us Mgtows tell them, they're so dead set to the point to where even if a Mgtow do give out the actual reasons to why Mgtow is on the map, why Mgtow exists, they rather be so combative and they want to act like fucking children. And for the vast majority of Mgtows, nobody ain't got time for that bullshit. But then again, these are the same ones that nobody takes seriously. However, they so dead set in their child-minded mentality that they actually believe that they are being taken seriously when in actuality they are not. So that's a good thing that you're not wasting your time with them. Now, as for the others, some will understand. Others will still have their own version. I mean, you see what it says right here. Every person has their own version of truth. In this situation, everybody has their own version of Mgtow. The only problem is it's their own version. And let's keep it $1.50. The vast of them is not going to ask Mgtow what the Mgtow philosophy is about. They would rather rely on their own version of what Mgtow is about and be dead wrong. And these are the same ones who sit back and wonder why their arguments fall short. Why their arguments completely is completely blown out the water. Because they believe that their own version of Mgtow is the truth. And keep this in mind, these are people on the outside looking in. And somehow they just expect that, oh, if I look in the Mgtow philosophy, even though I'm on the outside, I got a clear understanding what Mgtow is about. And in the end, they be wrong as hell. Now, as a Mgtow, I'm gonna honestly say this: for the majority of them, forget everything they claimed, because by now everybody should have a clear understanding to what the Mgtow philosophy is, and not what they like it to be. I mean, even back then when I used to play Injustice 2. Yes, yes, and oftentimes I will go back and play Injustice 2 all over again. But one thing that stood out is what Superman said during the story mode. And what did Superman said? Everybody thinks that they're the hero of their own story. It didn't click to me at first until after I played story mode for the 4th time. But after the 4th time, I understood what he meant. Everybody thinks they're the hero of their own story. In other words, everybody thinks that their version of the story, every everybody thinks that their version of something is the truth, even if it is just complete and utter bullshit. Now here are the refutes of all these claims. You got some that will sit there and say that, oh, these men are only Mgtow because of the fact that they have a hard time getting into a relationship. Not even paying attention to the fact that not even paying attention to the fact that a portion of Mgtows not only been in relationships, some Mgtows were married at one point. While 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 some Mgtows, myself included, are fathers. But in order for us to be fathers, when we have to be in a relationship previous to that, I think so, right? So so basically, so basically, I can't help but to look at that claim as someone painting with a broad brush as if they speak for all as a whole. Not every Mgtow struggled with being in relationships. No. I take that back. Not every Mgtow struggled into getting into a relationship. Some Mgtows have been in relationships before they became Mgtow, myself included. So that claim is definitely false. More like a half truth. They trying to put each and every Mgtow in one boat to the point to where the boat just completely sinks due to the boat being completely overweight. Here's another version. Here's another one of their versions of Mgtow. Mgtows are criminals who goes around murdering people, raping women, molesting children, and they go on mass shootings and bombings. Again, that's false. In fact, there's not a single record of any Mgtows who's been convicted of such crimes. This is the reason why the majority of our haters has to make up shit in order for them to have an argument, and it still fails due to lack of evidence, due to lack of proof and evidence. And when they are refuted, these same ones making these claims want to fall out on the floor, crying, kicking, and screaming because nobody wants to listen to their bullshit ass garbage. Especially if there's no proof that even a single Mgtow has done such crimes. In fact, for some of these crimes, they will even have internet access, and that's the puzzling part. And that's the puzzling part there, because some of the crimes they claim that these Mgtows do will restrict them of internet access. Oh, I guess they never took the time to thought about their version of Mgtow, now did they? But somehow they believe that their version of Mgtow is truth, even though it's been constantly refuted. Keep in mind, they are combative. They want everyone to believe what they're saying is true, even though they're not they're not pulling an audience for anyone to listen. This is the reason why they act like children. What do children do when their parents just straight ignore them? They scream, they hoop, they holler, they whine and cry until the parent does give them attention. I look at this as nothing different. Another thing I could say is that the majority of these clowns who are giving out their own versions of Mgtow, let's just be upfront and real here. They can't think for themselves. You want to know how I know? Because if they can think for themselves, then why are they so helplessly dependent and reliant on other on these other stupid sites and whatnot to give out their versions of Mgtow, and they turn around and parrot it? From Wikipedia to biased news outlets to the SPLC to the ADL to the Secret Services, to Homeland Security, to all these other places giving out their version of what Mgtow is compared to actual Mgtows telling them what Mgtow is about. And they are so helplessly dependent on these sites and these secondhand sources, believing that what they saying about Mgtow is true, rather than hearing it from actual Mgtows themselves. In fact, none of these sites even took the time to even ask Mgtows individually what Mgtow is about. They just gave out their own version and passed it off as facts. In fact, the only one on record who actually reached out to Mgtow was CNN. Those are the only ones who reached out to the Mgtow philosophy. In fact, they had a feminist going out to interview John Mgtow. And even though they completely screwed that shit up, by the end of the day, only one reached out to Mgtow for their advice. So the question is, how come all these clowns out here who got something to say about Mgtow is scared to reach out and contact a single Mgtow? Why they scared? And for some, why are they so combative over Mgtows proving their arguments wrong? By the end of the day, all they want to do is push narratives and bullshit, thinking that they got Mgtows figured out and still don't know shit. Or in the words of Guru from Gangstar, they think they know the whole, but in actuality, they don't even know the half. And they wonder why their arguments always fall short. They giving out their versions of Mgtow, or they hearing other people give out their versions of the Mgtow philosophy, which makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Mgtow is about men wanting to be left alone, pursue their goals and careers. Other Mgtows want to be in the know about the situations that goes on and what they need to do to best avoid these situations. That way they will not be yet another statistic. You got Mgtows such as myself who makes awareness about such important issues, such as false rape accusations, false sexual assault accusations. Because let's just be upfront and real, no one ain't looking out for these men and young boys out here. No one. Then you got Mgtows who just wants to better themselves, find ways to make their life feel better, financially, physically, mentally, spiritually. the whole 9 yards. But none of these clowns giving out their versions of Mgtow will tell you that. The only thing they rely is gossip, secondhand communication, pushing narratives, pushing propaganda, and just downright fear mongering. To them, they want Mgtow to be this evil boogeyman, when in actuality, Mgtow is doing a whole lot for men in real life, more than all these other places combined. And they hate it. They really hate it. And that's a fact. But I hope this answers your question, because that's a good question each and every Mgtow should ask. Why are they giving out their own versions of Mgtow? Why are they scared to reach out to Mgtow and ask a Mgtow themselves what the Mgtow philosophy is about? Why are they scared? Why they can't do it? We will all love to hear their answers to that. But nevertheless, I hope that answers your question. I try to explain it the best way possible. I said what I had to say. I'm done, and I'm out this bitch. Later.